Good evening, Unique Couples community. Welcome to Unique Couples Sunday Night Live. We are Vito and Linda Patrick. We are here in Freeport, Grand Bahama, in the Bahamas, and we just want to welcome you. Go ahead and type in hashtag Live Squad. For those of you that'll be watching the replay, go ahead and type in hashtag replay. This evening, we're going to be in for a great time. We have a topic that we're going to be talking about. It's a very interesting topic. We have a special guest in the house. We have Jamie Hoy. She's going to be introduced a little later on, telling us a little more about herself. But we're going to be in for a great time. So go ahead, hashtag Live Squad. For those of you that'll be watching the replay, go ahead and type in hashtag replay. For our challengers that are here, go ahead and type in hashtag challenges. Let our viewing community know that we have our 5-day marriage challenges on board with us this evening. They're also here watching the live. So go ahead and let us know where you're watching from.
Yes. And then also, you don't want to keep this to yourself. Okay. You don't want to keep this to yourself. You want to share as much as possible because we need more persons to know about some of the dangers that they'll be facing. So whether or not you're in this situation or know someone who's in this situation, we're still saying go ahead and share. Because I remember when I studied, but that personal inside look at narcissistic behavior or someone actually going through that experience, I didn't even have the opportunity to witness that on a personal level. But today we have Jamie Hoy. She not only witnessed it, but she also went to do further studies to make sure she was able to not only help herself, but help other ladies as well. And we're not saying that it is just, men who are narcissistic. Females can be so as well. I think she has a story about that as well. So we're looking today at an inside look at narcissism. Come on in, share, invite someone, let a couple know. And then especially those persons who are single or engaged, you are not at that point yet where you made that commitment and you're in a marriage with this person. There are some warning signs, some things that you need to be aware of. So tune in and invite someone. Let's share to help. Thanks for joining us, Julie. I see Lynn is here. Thanks for all of you who are watching and joining and sharing because we definitely need to help. Yes. So, and our challengers, welcome.
Yes. Hello, Dawn. How are you? Hello,
Yes.
Levette.
And your assignment after this will be in the group, in the How to Strengthen Your Marriage Facebook group. So tune in, listen. We will also share. So if you have any comments, go ahead and put your comments in the chat and let us know your takeaways as well. So keep engaged. We are still giving away prizes. So keep engaged and go ahead and share, right? Keep engaged, share, and then let us know your takeaways in there. So we see Rockstar. Rockstar is watching.
Hashtag
yes.
Buffalo, New York, watching with friends.
Yes. Okay. So Jamie, go ahead and tell our viewing audience, like, who are you? Just about yourself. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me. It's such an honor. So again, thank you very much. Like Mr. and Mrs. Patrick had said, I am Jamie Hoy from Buffalo, New York. I am a 36-year-old single mom to my 3-year-old, very active little boy, the love of my life. He is also the child of my ex-narcissistic partner. But I work currently right now as a mental health counselor, do that full time. I'm in the process of trying to build my coaching program. I have been actually doing a lot of mindset work, working currently with mindset coaches because I will eventually be implementing this into my program. I do believe that you know, our days and our lives are shaped by our mindset, essentially. So I look forward to hopefully sharing all of that at some point, and obviously giving you guys more information in regards to narcissistic personality disorder. If you're anything like me, I had heard the term, but never knew anything about it. Like, you know, and I would, you know, have conversations with friends and kind of explain what was going on in my relationship. And it was always easy for them to say he's a narcissist. And I said, whatever, shut up. Like, I didn't know. Like, and then one day I just, you know, did a simple Google. And of course, you know, you self-diagnose, and even that nowhere near did justice. Not at all. It wasn't until I happened to just randomly stumble across a YouTube video on narcissistic personality disorder. And I've just, from there, they all had one thing in common, like several channels that I would watch and books and things that I would do to educate myself. And I did this over a span of about 2.5 years now. All had one thing in common. They described my relationship from start to finish. So it was kind of like eye-opening, made me learn a lot of things about myself as well as just the disorder. Now, like Mr. and Mrs. Patrick indicated, while studies state that there's a higher prevalence or statistics for males being narcissistic, however, there are most certainly females, so it's both sexes. It can be intimate partners, it can be family members, it can be, you know, employers. I had a boss, unfortunately, at one point, and it kind of wasn't the greatest for me because it was kind of at the same time I was dealing with my narcissistic ex. And if you know anything about them, which you very well may not, you may, what you believe to be true about even just a toxic individual is just completely thrown out the window. This is a whole separate breed, a whole separate dynamic. They know who to target. They study you from day one. And it's, like I said, their whole mission, unfortunately, is to completely destroy you. So I would love to answer any questions at the end. Obviously, ask any, you know, you can ask any questions in regards to my story, kind of what I dealt with. I absolutely love sharing my story just because I know that letting you know and knowing that others have went through the same thing, because as I've grown to do more and more with this, I was once a domestic violence advocate, so it was unfortunate, but it appeared like all of my victims or participants kind of were involved almost with the same individual because their behaviors are that similar. So again, thank you for having me. I will kind of get started. I tried to compact as much information in, you know, just the amount of time that I have. So if anybody is familiar with narcissist, I actually found an acronym that kind of obviously vaguely sums up narcissistic personality disorder. So for N, we have they'll never accept to being wrong. They refuse to take accountability. And that's kind of typically where things go wrong when you do start to question them, essentially. And they won't accept that they have any issues to go get diagnosed or see anybody, which is a lot of the reasons why it's so underreported. Avoids emotions, empathy, accountability. They are childish, essentially, are unable to regulate their emotions. So, you know, they go from 0 to 1,000 very quickly. They rage if anyone actually does challenge their false self. So they come to you as a fake person, essentially. Who you know in the beginning is nowhere near who they truly are. They present an illusion. And to be superior. They're childish, like I said, when they don't get their way. They're very immature. Instills doubts in their victim. This is a term that I'm also going to talk about, which is gaslighting. This is, again, a term that I was nowhere near familiar with, however, was very much a victim of it. They stonewall during conflicts, controls the conversations, don't allow you to get a word in. No matter what, you're wrong. So just, to them anyways, don't even try. They do what we call a smear campaign. Again, this is also another topic we will discuss, but they smear and slander you. They're always in denial and gaslight you, subjects you to silent treatment. If anybody, this is also, a lot of people know this is ghosting. You will think the relationship is going amazing and then they randomly disappear. And this is a behavioral training because it often, and they have such a long-standing history of abuse, so everything is calculated from day one. So they know exactly what to do, and they almost anticipate the exact outcome for their behaviors, because this is typically the reaction that they've gotten in the past. So everything will go good, everything will be going great, and then they just randomly disappear. So the actual problem maybe that was occurring prior to them giving the silent treatment or ghosting is no longer being acknowledged, because now a lot of times you internalize that. Well, what's wrong with me? What happened? And you self-blame. So now when they do randomly pop up, and they always do, now you're kind of just so happy and kind of just focus on keeping the peace and don't even put attention on, what the original issue was. Triangulation. Again, another issue that I dealt with, had no idea what was happening, and I constantly am educated. I have a bachelor's degree, and I couldn't make sense of, I knew it was just so odd, and I had this odd feeling like, what is going on? But they triangulate. They'll pin people against you because they want you to compete for their attention. Tears you down. Like I said, they study you. So they go for your most vulnerable, insecurities and your vulnerabilities to attack you in any way that they can. They do what they call recycling. So they'll recycle old supplies, especially if they knew this was a viable person that gave them whatever they wanted, financial, whatever they could get out of somebody, that's where they're going to go. And especially if they know that it's going to be an easy task, somebody that maybe they knew wasn't really necessarily over them. And this can be over a span of months, weeks, years, even. I've heard people talk about, they've randomly popped up 10 years later. So there's absolutely no time frame in which this can occur. You're technically always an object to them, and you essentially belong to them, is how they feel. So I'll kind of go over some terms to kind of give you, so that when I am discussing things, you're not kind of like, if somebody's not really been, too familiar with this. So future faking, which is typically the idealization, love bombing phase in the very beginning. A lot of people may know this as the honeymoon phase in a typical relationship. So they're presenting a false hopes and dreams. They mirror you and tell you what you want to hear. Anything that you want and feel out of life is kind of what they'll tell you that they want as well. You want family and kids. My son's father did that. He begged me for my son. I thought we were planning a child. He knew I wanted family. He knew I wanted marriage, kids, all of it. So of course, I got that every day. Give me a baby, let's get married. Would tell family members that we were going to get married. It was all to serve a purpose. They actually will do what we call sleep deprivation. So sleep deprivation, somewhat self-explanatory. Start arguments with you when you're sleeping. Obviously, when you're kind of tired and don't get the rest needed, you're not able to think on your feet. So this essentially kind of keeps you in that low motivation, kind of just stuck mode, to where it makes it more difficult for you to think on your feet and figure them out, essentially, and leave if needed. So this is kind of something I referred to just a minute ago, mirroring. They take on the roles and attributes and characteristics of others for every situation that they're in. So they kind of morph into a different person depending on the type of situation, environment, anything like that they're in, to be able to kind of engage and get people to like them. I already kind of discussed silent treatment. It's a behavior training, all manipulation tactics. Again, they have what we call an arsenal of tools that they use to kind of engage and suck their victims in. Gaslighting. This was something that once I kind of learned about it, was just so stunned, because it comes across as so subtle, but it can truly be so detrimental to somebody's mental health. So it originally came from the Patrick Hamilton 1939 stage play, where a husband psychologically manipulates his wife. He'll flicker the lights, and I think it was various tactics, and then, she'll question that, and he says, "I don't know what you're talking about." So this is typically you're questioning your perception of reality, again leaving you to kind of just be so emotionally a mess that you just can't think straight. Again, all calculated. Intentional victim blaming. So they'll, I wouldn't have did that if you didn't, do this. I wouldn't have hit you if, you weren't so dumb. Obviously, they go right for what's gonna hurt the most. Emotional abuse, denies and blames everything on you. No accountability. If they do apologize, which almost never happens, but in the event they do actually apologize, it's only to serve some need later on. And they'll always minimize how you feel. They won't ever take, how you feel or even listen. I don't want to talk about it. You're just being too sensitive. You're crazy is another huge one that they use. Triangulation. Again, with my situation, and this was kind of like, my son was a year old at this point, and I was 1,400 miles away. But I had some random woman texting my phone, like trying to attack that basically she won the prize, because obviously she was in that idealization phase, which congratulations, good for you. So but it was obvious that, he's keeping my name in his mouth and kind of allowing her to think that there's more or whatever. You just never know, because again, they are very cunning with everything that they do. So they're good at pinning people against you, because there was some sick, twisted need that he wanted out of that, an objective, and that was for me to call and beg and plead and, "Please stop, I love you," and it just didn't happen. I kind of the best, which again is something that I'll talk about towards the end, the best way is just no contact. You're not going to get anywhere. There's absolutely no reason, no purpose, you're not going to get anything out of it. They refuse to give you closure. So all you're going to do is kind of upset yourself more. So triangulation is a huge one. This is where family members will pin family members, friends will pin friends, coworkers. I had a boss who would pin other coworkers against me, never knew me, but because they were close, obviously, just to kind of keep that click going. That's definitely, again, a tactic that they use. Narcissistic supply. So any individual whom of which engages with a narcissistic person, you are considered their supply, their object. There's always kind of, and they're never with just one person. They need constant outside validation that fuels them. Again, they are very, very, very insecure. So obviously they will never portray that. but they are. So they need, whether that's, oh, I love you, you're so amazing, you're just, you're such an amazing father, you're such an amazing mother, whatever, like they always have to be deemed as good to the outside eye. Smear campaigns. This is obviously something I kind of already referred to, and this starts very early on. Smear campaigns they might place a bug in somebody's ear. She's cool and all, or he's cool and all, but I just don't like the way like she flips out on me over the littlest things. So later on, again, there's some type of agenda later on when maybe everything goes left and you react to something they've done. They can say, see, I told you she was crazy. So you essentially unintentionally fall into their trap. Again, I can't stress enough, it's all calculated. Flying monkeys. This is people that they enlist to do their bidding. So this is kind of hand in hand with the triangulation. Either A, it's somebody to attack you, to hurt you in some way, shape, or form, or it's somebody that they'll use to come to you to maybe get information out of you and then bring it back to them, and you think that this person maybe is genuine with you, or, it isn't going to be manipulative in that sense. However, again, they're very manipulative. So they're good at getting people to do their bidding for them. So they keep their hands clean. So they can kind of somehow point you as, the villain and they're the victim. That's always the objective. Narcissistic rage is if you don't give them a desired response or action, if they do something, if they ask for something, and mine was quick to ask for money and he would get told no. If anybody has watched The Tinder Swindler, I know that was a big one going around on Netflix not that long ago. Huge narcissist. If you noticed, if anybody is familiar with that, if you noticed when he would, oh, I love you, I need $25,000, and then whatever one towards the end, I think had said no. And did you notice that was like that hot and cold and he flipped? That's narcissistic rage. Projection is if you listen to them, they will tell on themselves, constantly question you're cheating, you're lying. That's them projecting themselves onto you. So like I said, they're good, but they're not at the same time. And it's only kind of obvious to people who are aware. Trauma bond. Another term that is not necessarily very well known, discussed. This is obviously only something that I learned as a domestic violence advocate because we did a lot of work with participants. So my participants had child welfare cases, whether they just had open domestic violence cases or they unfortunately had their children removed due to domestic violence. So part of their case plan in order to reunify was going through our support group. And here we discussed, warning signs, red flags, trauma bonding. I think there was a whole topic on trauma bonding. Basically, and there's science behind this. It kind of goes a little deeper and it's like about the brain, but you get addicted essentially to the constant back and forth. You're on this hamster wheel. So in the beginning, they have the idealization phase, love bombing, all of that. So when you get to the later stages and where they're actually like kind of just completely making you feel the worst of the worst, this is where you know, they'll give you breadcrumbs here and there and make you feel like, okay, I can, you know, I know that this person has it in them to be who I met in the beginning. If I just, and I know this for me, if I just say the right thing, if I just do the right thing, it'll, you know, it'll change things. I convinced myself that if my son's father heard his heartbeat, he would change. Obviously never occurred, but you just, you convince yourself that you can change them in some way, shape, or form. They kind of, you know, the circus, if you see people holding the you know, ring of fire and an animal jumps through it, they might hold it and then they kind of keep holding it higher and higher. And that's what they do. No matter what you do, no matter how you do it, they're always going to want more. It's never going to be enough. Scapegoat. So there's a golden child and a scapegoat. So the golden child is like, my son's father had 5 children prior to mine. During my pregnancy, I found out halfway through my pregnancy, so there was another female pregnant. Because my son came a month early, I had preeclampsia. So because my son came a month early, our children are 27 days apart. So they flop relationships. Obviously, that was an ex. But he had one child that he used to talk about all the time. And I never could understand why. It was just, but he used it as a tactic to portray that he's an amazing father. So, you know, he does all this stuff for her, takes her shopping, does this, does this, does this. So it's a golden child to pin that child against the other ones. Again, everybody's an object, so they're incapable of having any real feelings. And it's so horrible when somebody has to really experience that, especially a child, because they don't care. It's only what type of benefit they can get out of it. So the scapegoat, this person is open with their feelings, but because the narcissist is emotional, inadequate, they are jealous and threatened by this, which makes them target that individual. So this would be my situation with my boss. She was actually the director of the agency that I worked for. And I've had other horrible bosses. I'm sure several people have. But this was probably like the worst experience of my life. And when I was in it, again, I had no idea what was happening. It wasn't until I was out of it, because your brain is always in that fight or flight mode. So you just can't think, essentially. So once I was finally able to be out of it and look at it for what it was, it kind of just became clear. But again, this is people who are very insecure, emotionally unavailable, just childish. Essentially, they're stuck at whatever age this traumatic event occurred to them. So this is just all they know. Okay. So I hope that everybody is getting some valuable information. Obviously, I would love to chat and kind of answer any questions. I'm going to kind of run through the phases really quick, because there is typically a cycle. And like I said, I've kind of touched on them a little bit. But when you first meet a narcissist, and again, this can be, I kind of gear everything towards relationships, just because that is typically the worst and the you know, what I've experienced and worked with. However, it is very possible with friends, family, coworkers, anything like that. I actually just did a session with somebody the other night, and he was a pastor. So again, they can come in any forms. Please, online dating is their biggest platform, because they can present as anybody or anything. So idealization, this is love bombing. This is, they put you on a pedestal. They make you feel like you are the apple of their eye. You found your soulmate. You are so happy. And coming from, you know, maybe a prior abusive or just not so great relationship, this can feel like heaven. On cloud 9, you're so excited. They give you all the attention. They're, everything that you are is now what they are. They mirror you, mimic, manufacture this soulmate effect. Love bombing. They will push relationships. So they want to move fast. They want to move in. They talk marriage. They will push kids because they know that the mask is not going to last long. So they have to trap you, essentially. So that way it makes it harder for you to leave. Here's another kicker. So when I told my son's father that I was pregnant, you can laugh. It's okay. It's okay. But he told me, I can't remember the exact conversation, but his response, like when I told him I was pregnant, he said, "What you mean? You're the #1 draft pick. You ain't got no kids." So it was like, haha, I trapped you. Okay. A for effort too. Okay. So that was my experience. Not exactly the response I wanted or was looking for, but it is what it is. So they make you believe that they're genuinely interested, and they are slowly getting you dependent on them. Then we go to the devaluation phase. Now, this can stem in or vary in different time frames. It just depends on when you essentially wake up and start holding them accountable. If you are able to kind of not recognize what's going on and maybe just constantly overlook the behaviors, the red flags, whatever is going on, and let them get away with stuff, then this can go on for years. However, if you start to hold them accountable, then things are going to kind of go different. So you're left wondering why you were so abruptly thrown off the pedestal, and they do it abruptly. All of a sudden, like I said, they ghost you, silent treatments, criticizing you. In the beginning, they would have obviously asked a lot of questions. You're, just kind of getting to know somebody. So you think, giving them maybe your most vulnerable information, telling them about insecurities, vulnerabilities, and this is where they'll start to use it. They're emotionally withdrawing. So again, leaving you to internalize, what did I do? What's wrong with me? They will not accept and acknowledge how you feel. More gaslighting, blame shifting, it's all your fault. In some way, shape, or form, it's your fault. Name calling disguised as a joke. My son's father kind of actually told on himself several different times that he had another female pregnant, but would constantly say, like, it's a joke, it's a joke. So after the third time of using the same topic, like he would tell me that he had another female pregnant. After the third time, I kind of was like, there's truth to this. And then, like, not too long after, I found out the truth. And I found out via Target registry. He never told me. I found out via Target registry when I kind of wanted to start one of my own, and I popped his name in there. So they will discredit, kind of sabotage your accomplishments, whatever that looks like. If they can, maybe a new job, or you just graduated, they'll find some way, shape, or form to kind of sabotage that for you, or at least like your happiness. They're good for ruining holidays, birthdays, anything big for you. They'll find some way to ruin it. They won't show up. They'll plan just to ruin it for you. So they give you less time. You essentially learn. This is kind of where like the behavioral training kind of comes to a head. You just kind of essentially learn, if I'm not so needy or clingy, maybe I'll be rewarded. So again, this is all behaviors they're essentially banking on. They kind of anticipate this exact outcome. So the discard. This is kind of where it's the worst of the worst. This is where I've seen people lose children, end up in jail, go into mental institutions, just completely lose themselves because a lot of times it's over such a span of time, and it's so subtle. So when it hits you, it really is traumatic. And it takes years to kind of work through and get over. So they abandon you in the most horrific ways. I was my first pregnancy at that, and I'm not no spring chicken. I'm 36. So being a single mom in my 30s was obviously not part of the plan. That was a huge thing for me, and I had to kind of work through, and I had to eventually embrace that. But he obviously, I was, my whole pregnancy, I was alone. I was in Florida. I was away from all of my supports. I ended up breaking my wrist. I was very, very big. So that was hard, trying to do my hair, cook my meals. So that was fun. It was lots of fun. You obviously question your self-worth. You will never get closure. So they won't call and say, I'm done with you because of, these reasons. They just say nothing and just disappear. Physically aggressive. This can happen at any stage, but this is a time when it can, if it has never happened, this is where it can start to happen. One term that I forgot to mention before is a Hoover. So Hoovers are essentially like a Hoover vacuum. It kind of comes and, sucks things up. This is essentially what a narcissist will do. It'll come around after so long and kind of try to suck you back in. This can be subtle as well. So it might be, hey, I saw your mom the other day. How's she doing? They're trying to engage to kind of see how you'll respond. And if you are, oh, she's good, then okay, this is my way in. And then it goes from there. They suck you back in only to deliver even worse treatment. Do not fall for it. It's not genuine. Guilty myself. This happened for quite some time. Even after I moved back to New York, because once I was, right before I had my son, I moved back to New York to be with family. So he was, moved back to Florida, we'll be a family. And obviously that never happened, but was off doing his thing. Manufacture love triangles, relies on your jealousy for you to compete. So that's typically, there's a cycle, like I said. And then if you do get sucked back in, it'll go through the same exact thing. You'll go through the idealization, discard, and devalue phase. Or devalue and discard, sorry. So really quick, again, I hope everybody's getting some great knowledge out of this. I hope that I'm helping somebody. So some key facts I just wanted to really quickly run over. Always remember, they don't admire anybody. It's not real. It's not genuine. They're actually very incapable of having any real feelings. They hate themselves, essentially. So they can't care about you, children included. It's only for them to sabotage, something in some way later on. All bets are off. The constant hot and cold reinforcement, it's that release of oxytocin and dopamine that kind of, it's almost essentially similar to an addiction, because of that high and low, that constant hit of the hormones. Rewards are random, unpredictable, rare, yet you still play in hopes of getting that reward. Very calculated. So I think that's it. I hope that everybody, I think that's it. Everybody got some great knowledge out of this. Again, I will kind of answer any questions. If anybody has any questions about my story or just anything else, maybe needs clarification on, I would love to answer any questions that you have.
It's just like a mouthful. Like you're hearing all these characteristics, and it's like, whoa. And we know that people, there are people out there like
There.
that, and not just males, females displaying this as
Correct.
well. And it's scary because
Yes.
when you're in the situation, you don't necessarily see it happening, and someone outside could tell you, and you don't necessarily listen. Okay, you don't necessarily.
Guilty.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. So we have a question.
Yes,
Okay.
we have a question, and the question is, what practical things can someone do if their spouse shows narcissistic tendencies but is not open to counseling?
Okay. Wonderful question. Thank you very much. We do not recommend counseling because this is, you have to understand, they don't accept any type of accountability. So a counseling session is, and they're manipulative. So unless the counselor is really educated on this topic, I can't tell you how many times I've heard where the counselor is easily manipulated. So they're often thinking that the actual narcissist is the victim and the actual victim is the villain, or the crazy one, like how the narcissist will paint. It,
Like
honestly,
when they
truthfully,
weave the story, like when they weave the story and tell it,
yeah,
like you can't help but believe what they're saying.
yes, and
Yes,
they're
you
very,
definitely
very,
have to be a therapist, someone who specializes in narcissistic disorder, to really get to actually speak and help. Yeah, and sometimes it doesn't even. Yeah, I don't really want to go and make it seem so gloomy, but if the person is a narcissist, um,
no
yeah,
contact,
sometimes.
truthfully, is really because it's the only way. Like, even if you kind of separate yourself for, even 30 to 60 days to kind of just give yourself that outlet to kind of calm your brain in that fight or flight mode, to be able to think clearly and then kind of decide how you need to proceed, because I'm confident that a lot of things will come to light that you're like, and you'll just see things differently, so you'll be like, what am I doing? And I essentially, that's, I felt like once I cut off all, I changed my phone number, and I felt like had I not did that, I can't imagine where me or my son would be right now. So no contact is truthfully, and I know that's easier said than done because obviously there's people married, there's kids involved, but any way that that's possible, I would 100% suggest no contact. Well, and also no emotion. They're looking for a reaction. So, because again, they want to be able to paint you as some crazy individual, whether they get you locked up, your kids taken away, whatever. Just try, no emotion. It's called gray racking. So just and agree with them. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Jamie, I think you started to give some advice, because the next question would be, can you give our viewing audience some advice in terms of what to look for and what to do?
Yes, of course. So like I said, red flags early on are typically, another one that I did not mention actually, so is they are quick to talk about their exes or any type of situation from their past. They were a victim. If you notice, like, obviously, if you're coming out of prior relationships, you're talking to this new person, so obviously that didn't work out. But if somebody is constantly honing in on how they were so horrible, they were crazy, she kept my kids from me, just always discussing that, and I'm a victim, that's a huge red flag. Pushing relationships, if they're, again, coming from maybe even a prior, maybe toxic relationship, coming to somebody who really shows what you feel is genuine, nurturing and caring, it might feel amazing, but take your time, and trust your gut. I promise you, them butterflies that you think you're experiencing, is your gut most likely telling you that something's off. Like, I can't stress that enough. Trust your gut. If you're kind of getting this pit feeling like something's not right. I don't really know exactly what. And then you often start, rationalizing, oh, maybe I'm overthinking it, or you talk to friends and then they talk you out of it. Do not do that. Trust your gut. You ultimately know, and your gut knows your intuition knows what's best for you. Trust that.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you talk about, trusting your gut, how was it for you? Um, did you do all of your, I know you said you have, your degree and all of that stuff, mental health. Um, was that before or after your contact with him? And did you see some of those red flags, like those butterflies that told you, I'm thinking something is off?
Absolutely. Everything was there. He owned his own landscaping business, so it was just convenient for him to use that as an excuse, as, oh, I'm working. I worked an hour away from where I lived, so like between the traffic, I would have to leave like either way earlier in the day, which with my job it never happened, or later at night, so it was just kind of convenient for him to just come over. So like we really didn't spend a lot of time. I would constantly try to push, like, let's spend more time, let's do this, and it was always, oh, I'm working. So it was just convenient. What else? He would, throw insecurities at me. He triangulated. He constantly talked about his other children's mothers. Red flags were all there. In my process and my education of learning about narcissistic personality disorder, I realized I was codependent. So that's typically summed up as I kind of essentially needed him to validate me. I also realized my mother was narcissistic. So that kind of set me up for those, to normalize those toxic behaviors. So I would tell myself essentially, well, this is just how it goes. This is normal. So I had to deal with it, and then I got pregnant, and he pushed the relationship, and mirrored me, and it was all there. So I didn't realize everything until, this was even probably, I think I started slowly figuring everything out. I think it was like my son, I think it was before his first birthday, and then it kind of just spiraled for there. I've just continued even to this day, because there's so much information to really learn about this.
Wow. Yeah. It's like a lot,
Yes.
right? And the manipulation part of it, where like you're just thinking that everything is fine, and you're doubting and questioning yourself. And I think that is probably the biggest issue with dealing with a narcissist. It's the you doubting yourself, you questioning your very instinct, your thoughts. And I think like with the situation, where they got the name with the gaslighting, like he's doing the lights and flickering the lights and doing that. And then he knows that he's doing that, intentionally knows that he's doing that. And then, she's doubting herself. She's questioning whether or not this is happening. And then eventually thinking that, she's crazy. Something is wrong with me. For someone to get you to the point where, you start off strong, maybe, or maybe because of your family background and situation.
Mm-hmm.
So you're, like you said, they look for the targets. They look for who they know that they can manipulate, and based on, your family history and stuff. But it could happen with anyone.
Anybody,
But
correct.
yeah, looking at that and then going ahead and just getting you from that point where you probably did believe in yourself and knew who you were, to the point where you're questioning whether it's night or day. You're questioning, like whether you did anything worthwhile, like if you're really smart, if you're dumb, if you're all of these different things. And for the person to have you doing that, that's some real manipulation. And I think that's the biggest, not even the, the verbal, the physical assault. Yes, that's bad. But to get you where you're just questioning your mind and your mental state, that is really, really a lot. Someone just said, okay, we have some comments coming in. Let's see if we could get those in. Okay.
She
Can you
was
see it?
she was caught in a vicious cycle of narcs that began with her family. I'm glad she had a conscience interrupt and educate herself on this
Mhm.
issue.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Thank you. And then another comment came in.
You went through a lot, Jamie. I'm so glad you were able to get through all of it.
Oh, thank you. And you know, I am happier than I have ever been. Like I said, I kind of went through and I was what I felt was the lowest of my low. Like you essentially lose yourself. You become a shell of a person of who you once were. I kind of was like just going through life and just kind of there, but I was just like, you know, I didn't know who I was anymore. I didn't want to do the things that I liked to do. I kind of just, obviously I had to be a mother to my son. He was obviously an infant and I did what I had to do, but it was very rough, especially going through all that, being in the pit of it, a brand new mom, my first child at that. The only thing I can really suggest is relationships are supposed to flow. They're supposed to be easy. It's not supposed to kind of be this constant, you know, if you're Googling symptoms, like I saw that if you're Googling symptoms, then it's probably
Run,
time for you to kind of walk away.
run. Yes.
If you're constantly like having conversations with, well, what do you think about this? Like it's supposed to flow. It's supposed to be easy. Somebody who's healthy, boundaries 100%. You want to be very cognizant of and aware of what you even want. I
Mhm.
can honestly say I don't think I did. I thought I did, but obviously going through everything I didn't. Know exactly what you want and stick to that. If you set a boundary and you say, you know, it's kind of like with a child, if you're kind of trying to teach them, you will say, you know, don't do this or you can't go outside. You can't keep giving constant warnings because they're going to continue to do it and they're going to just, okay, whatever you say, like they're going to laugh at you. And that's exactly how they are. So you have to stick to boundaries, set them, be clear, and be firm. Anything that, you know, like I said, that gut feeling, the first time that they call you out your name, disrespect, you want to have what you define. It's different for everybody. So what you define as red flags or what you define as deal breakers, you want to
Mhm.
be concrete and secure with that, so that way you know how to proceed in the event that type of situation arises. Okay, well, this is just a red flag. I'll kind of wait to see if I see something else, and then, or however you feel that you're gonna address that, or you're like, no, this is this is a deal breaker, I'm done.
Yeah.
And please don't feel like you have to explain anything. You can do the ghosting, you can do, because again, they're very good. They're gonna talk you out of it. When I found out about, I got to work early and I told myself I was going to go home and do some work. Yeah, it didn't happen. So I happened to get on the Target registry and I was going to just go add the basic stuff. So like diapers, wipes, you know, I ultimately wanted to go into the store. So I go through and I type my name in for, it was just weird. Some odd reason it didn't come up. I type his name in, I scroll because there's a bunch of them, Nevada, like all different states. I go to the bottom and there's a picture of him and the other female. My son was originally due March 21st. It said she was due February 4th. So like 6 weeks apart. But like I said, because my son came a full month early, they're 27 days apart. So yeah, that was fun times for me. But yeah.
Yep. So we have a few more questions.
Yes,
Yeah.
we have another question then.
I think this is Charmaine. Yes, go ahead.
What does Jamie do now so as to not beat every man she meets with the same stick?
Love it. Love it. Honestly, I kind of just I am very aware of what I define as kind of what I was giving you, what I define as red flags, what I define as deal breakers. Very aware of that. I take things slow. I look for certain things, the pushing, I'm very big on emotional stability. So like if you're kind of hot and cold, I'm not one to kind of tolerate that. But I'm kind of busy, so it's kind of hard to really do much. But I do try to be very aware and just kind of know what I'm looking for. And I do know that it's supposed to flow. As much as society and social media and again, everything's kind of normalized, these toxic, that's just how it is. This is just, and it's not, unfortunately, it's not how it's supposed to be. You can have the relationship that you desire.
You can have the marriage of your dreams. That's what we
You
are
can.
promoting. You definitely can have it. Okay, we have another question.
Jamie, did this situation made you feel like you would never find a person to love you and your son again?
Yeah, Dawn is
initially,
asking.
yes. And I was good for I'm damaged goods, 100% all the time, until I started to do that inner work. It really requires you to kind of just completely detach. And, I can honestly say that I'm big on, like I said, mindset and just everything in your life happens for a reason. And when I was able to acknowledge the lesson in everything, so for instance, I know for sure that, granted, while it wasn't the best circumstances, wasn't what I originally, thought my life would be, as far as marriage, family, all of that, it was a hard pill to swallow that I was a single mother in my mid-30s. But once I acknowledged like that needed to happen, because had I not had my son, I would not have pushed myself to the extent that I did. September of 2020, because even in that point, then I started dealing with a narcissistic boss who kind of continued to keep me stuck. And I was just in this rat race, going to work, pressing the same emotional buttons, coming home, taking care of my son, getting up and doing the same thing over. And but I would tell myself, like, there's got to be more to life than this. So I had an opportunity in Florida to be the domestic violence advocate. No questions asked. I was gone. Packed up my stuff within 2 weeks and I left. I went back. So basically started all over again, just kind of, bought furniture, bought a bed, and just kind of, I stayed with somebody initially, and then I just kind of worked myself up. But being away and being not in that constant fight or flight, and just, I had so much clarity that I was able to find me. And like, I'm such a goof. I don't know if you can kind of like, I laugh and I joke, and like, I have such amazing energy, and my personality is just unmatched. And like, I'm a ball and I'm a blast. And I am, like I said, just so much happier than I've ever been, I think ever, because you have to acknowledge the lesson, or that lesson will continue to occur. And I think that, just like I said, he disrespected me for the last time in October of 2020. It was like a month after we moved back out to Florida. He never knew, because he's in Florida. I didn't tell him right away, but he had disrespected me. He kind of just, and that's always what it was. He would use my son as a pawn to call me, but it was always what he could do to upset or disrespect me. So I changed my number, and I haven't looked back, and it's the happiest I've ever been. The best decision of my life. So just like, this is why I said no contact, and it's any toxic individual, because it's kind of like a wound. So if you have a wound and you keep poking it, hitting it, it's never going to heal. So you really have to just detach and separate yourself, and just really allow yourself to gain that clarity, and things will come. Like I said, I'm confident that if you separate yourself for even 30 to 60 days, let's just start there. If you start with that, you will see the relationship from a different lens, because you will not have, been so entwined, and have allowed yourself to kind of think clearly and rest.
Yep, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Charmaine said, "What a blessing you made it out with your sanity." Yes.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. Comments. We have another one. Red flags and deal breakers. Great. So glad that you have a yardstick to help you navigate future relationships. Way to go, Jamie. Thanks, Charmaine, for all the encouragement for Jamie this evening. And then another comment.
Acknowledge the lesson, or else it will continue to occur.
Yeah, yes. Thanks, Charmaine. Yeah, so as we wrap up, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that was most of the comments. Let us know your takeaways. Leave a note for someone who will come back in and watch this. Something that you got, and maybe someone needs to read and hear again. Something that'll stick out. And earlier, Jamie said relationships shouldn't be that hard, right? It shouldn't be that hard. It shouldn't be that constant back and forth. You could have the marriage of your dreams, and that is definitely something that we are promoting, and we promote. Just with unique couples as on a whole, building those stronger couples and making sure that these marriages are healthy. You can have, so even if you might have been in a situation like Jamie, or you would have been in an abusive situation, or come from an abusive family, or just didn't even see that mirrored, you can still have the marriage of your dream. So go ahead, connect with us, see the link in the description, in the comments, and go ahead and register to be a part of the Marriage of Your Dreams course that we are having, and take the journey with us, 7 weeks journey to having the marriage of your dreams. So maybe you and your spouse, maybe you're not on the level that you need to be. You can still go ahead and build this marriage. We're talking about boundaries. We're making sure that all of those are clear. We're looking at communication and trust, and building all of these things, and increasing intimacy. And if you're doing it yourself, if you're the one, because sometimes in normal, even healthy relationships, one spouse may be given more than the other.
Mhm.
Like almost like you're thinking it's maybe, oh, I'm doing 80%, or I'm doing everything and he's not doing anything. But in actuality, it's 100, right? Like you give your all, and he gives his all. And when you come together, that's still 100. And so what we're saying is, hey, you can have the relationship. It's like how to strengthen your marriage. Like our challenges know how to strengthen your marriage and have the marriage of your dreams, even if your spouse doesn't want to. So sometimes we can go ahead and work on the things that we need to do, change our mindset, work on us as individuals, make sure we're strong, we're healthy, we're doing the things that we need to do. And then when we come together with our spouse, we can be who we need to be and stand up strong and full and confident. And then, of course, if we are seeing some of these red flags, and we're seeing some of you who are single and not married or whatever, you can definitely make that quick exit, right? Make that quick exit and give yourself space, like Jimmy said, give yourself space to really see the reality. But marriages does not have to be all hell and chaos and disaster and manipulation. It doesn't have to be that way. Okay, so that's an abnormal situation, right? That's an abnormal situation, because this person is obviously someone, a narcissist, someone with narcissistic disorder is obviously someone who really needs to get a whole lot of help, in therapy. And according to a therapist, I research and listen to, a whole lot of them do not change. They may put up the semblance of changing,
And
but in actuality, they aren't, because whatever trauma and experience they grew up with, it's. But I'll say this. Let me put it this way: Jesus can do a lot. But allow Jesus to do that. You cannot fix the person, okay? So you cannot fix your spouse.
thank you. Yes.
Yeah, the Holy Spirit will have to do his work. Jesus will have to do his work, and they will have to acknowledge and get the help that they need. So if they don't get to that point and that spot where they're acknowledging that something is wrong and they really need to get that help. And they'll have to be taught, like, behaviorally, okay, this is what you do and how you behave, even though it might not be an instinct for them to be that way. They could learn the behavior patterns to not be initially just trying to hurt you and control and manipulate you. But that's not something that you do. That's a work that has to be done with a therapist, a trained therapist who works with someone who with narcissistic disorders. And yeah, so that's probably a lifetime of therapy for someone who is narcissistic. So, as a person on the other side, you have to realize that you cannot do the change. So nothing you do or say will make the situation better, will improve, will stop them from being who they are. Nothing you do or say can stop that. Yeah.
Be self-aware, like, know who, like, there's magnets, there's actually, like, there's people that they specifically target: empaths, the forgivers, the rescuers. So if you kind of indicate to them that, maybe in prior relationships you kept giving chances, they're like, oh, easy target. So be self-aware, know who you are, stand firm in that, and don't allow their response to you in some way, shape, or form kind of make you feel like, oh, this is a reflection of who I am. Always remember that whatever, however they are is what they're internally battling. And that's a reflection of them and them only.
So it has nothing to do with you. Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
So I see, Dawn is sending hugs. We see a lot of hugs coming in. A takeaway, Dawn said, is your relationship should flow. You are strong and powerful. You are a strong and powerful woman. Blessings, blessings. Yes, you could only pray for them. And Charmaine said, be self-aware. Be self-aware. And that is definitely key. So, Jamie, incredible story. We are so glad that you were able to overcome this entanglement with a narcissist, and we wish you all the best in your future relationships. So share with our audience how they can get in touch with you. Email, Facebook, how they can get in touch with you if they would like to continue the conversation. And I know you are working on a program, so you can tell us about that as well.
Okay. So I am actually trying to build my coaching program. It's going to obviously be centered around specifically narcissistic personality disorder. I'm also trying to get into attachment styles. So attachment styles are simply how and why we interact with the individuals the way we do. So coming from a standpoint of why we sometimes as victims kind of maybe attract, because I know with me, I had one consistent toxic relationship after the next. And I'm like, I'm a catch. What the hell's wrong with me? So I could never understand. And then, like I said, I think I kind of came to that conclusion, that realization. Well, my mama was narcissistic. So it just kind of put everything together, perspective for me. So, and then kind of also, because a lot of times, obviously, just in any type of domestic violence, just toxic relationship, the quick go-to is, well, why do you stay? Well, why do you stay? But it's not, somebody who's aware it's not that easy. Whether there's children, whether there's financial, because they will financially abuse you, they will isolate you, take you away from, everything, which I gave that to him on a silver platter because I was 1,400 miles away, from all my family and supports. But allowing yourself to self-care, grace, and where was I going with that? I forgot where I was going with that, but attachment styles. Thank you. And then also understanding like them and kind of why they are the way that they are, so you can kind of accept that and move on quicker. So you're not, let me change them, let me rescue you, let me help you, because I was, again, somebody who did that. I was a victim. Let me help you, I can love you, I can show you that I'm different, because they'll tell you that they're victims in every situation. And then mindset work, just allowing yourself to really be self-aware, acknowledge lessons. There's several courses that I've taken on mindset. So just really that mindset work and finding you, peace, your purpose, knowing who you are. So you can contact me. I have a Facebook, so it's just Jamie Lynn, separate words, JamielYNN. It's this picture from the flyer as my profile picture. And then I have like a vision board that I did as the other picture. Or you can email me, Jaylyn13123 at AOL. So it's JAYLYNN 13123 at AOL.com. So those, you can contact me. I can share anything at this point. If anybody is interested, I can take a couple of people, so I can build my profile and offering free sessions in exchange for testimonials, so I can kind of know where people are struggling, what they've experienced, to be able to offer the best content and desired content.
Awesome.
Yes, Jamie, we just want to thank you again for taking time out of your schedule to come on this Unique Couple Sunday Night Live to speak with our viewing community. A lot of information was shared, and folks really appreciate it. And like Linda would have said, we just want to thank you again, and we wish you all the best, you and your son, in your future endeavors and future relationships.
So our challenges, our 5-day challenges, you are doing 5-day how to strengthen your marriage and have the marriage of your dreams, even if your spouse doesn't want to challenge. Go ahead, you'll be in the group, in the How to Strengthen Your Marriage Facebook group. And your assignment for today will be in there. Send some love out to Jamie, and definitely get this video. It's on YouTube as well. Yeah, so it's on YouTube and on Unique Couples. On Unique Couples platform on Facebook. You can go ahead and share it. Okay, go ahead and share it. That's also part of that assignment. Go ahead and share it. Like Gia said, what powerful information. Share to help. Right? Share to help, because we've known and we've seen and heard of, so many people facing this situation, and a lot of them don't necessarily get out. They stay in that entanglement. They stay, hurt and feel as if there's no way out. So we want to encourage you to share. And even if you find yourself in a situation like that, know that help is available. Help is always available, and you can get the help to see your way out. So if you need to contact Jamie, go ahead, and she will, just kind of like be that support for you. Go ahead and contact her. Join us in the How to Strengthen Your Marriage Facebook group if you're not a part of it. Go ahead. If you're married, go ahead, join us in the group. Also, sign up to receive our How I Love tracker, so you can keep track of how you're loving your spouse on a daily basis. If you're single, we also have the How to Strengthen Your Relationship Unique Couples Facebook group. You can join us in there and get access to How I Love, in terms of how I love myself, the tracker. So register to receive that, and we'll see them tomorrow, right? As well.
Tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Monday is the night.
Sip and Spill, right in the How to Strengthen Your Marriage Facebook group.
7:30. Yes.
7:30 p.m. Yes.
And then after that, we are Manage Your Marriage Mondays with Vito and Linda in our Unique Couples Marriage Club. That is for couples who are taking their marriage to another level of loving. So we're talking about transformation in there. That's a paid group. So that comes with a monthly subscription, sorry. And or you can do that yearly. So go ahead and join us on Mondays. We're lit hot in the How to Strengthen Your Marriage Facebook group, and definitely in the Unique Couples Marriage Club. And then Wednesdays, right?
So on Wednesdays we have our Unique Couples After Dark, exclusively on the Unique Couples YouTube channel, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So go ahead and subscribe to your Unique Couples YouTube channel. Make sure you turn on that notification bell and select all. So every time we go live on Unique Couples, you will be notified.
Yeah. So those of you who missed the beginning and just came in, we probably didn't get to share like we needed to. Go back and watch the replay and let us know. Replay in the chat. Leave your comments. We will definitely come back in. Go and register for the course. We start April 20th. Registration close on Wednesday this week. So be an early bird and get that early bird special for the Marriage of Your Dreams course. Love you all. Thanks again, Jamie.
Thanks again, Jamie, for being here. Thank you, our Unique Couples viewing community. Here at Unique Couples, we are building stronger couples, healthier marriages, and happier families. We love you guys. Have a great evening.
Bye.
Bye.